Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Manchester United players are starting to arrive back at Carrington. There's a couple of waves. Those involved in internationals are going to be a little bit later, and those that haven't been involved in internationals are going to be getting there. Probably starting work tomorrow, actually. So I expect to see loads of new training photos. And what we always see in these training photos is a hell of a lot of young players involved, and perhaps video as well, actually. Always a lot of young players involved, and there is no better opportunity. We saw it last year with Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage, really given a lot of opportunity on the pre-season tour, and I thought both of them looked good, and then we didn't really see him again for the rest of the season, for whatever reason that is, and now Zidane has found himself moved on to Utrecht. I think pre-season represents a fantastic opportunity for youngsters to really make their mark on the squad and potentially change the manager's mind. I think last year he was still getting to grips with the rest of the team, the rest of the squad, and he had a lot of decisions to make about established first-team players. This year, I think he knows the first-team players, and I think there is now a genuine opportunity. Some of these youngsters are able to come in, perform on the tour, and maybe even change the manager's mind about signing a particular player in their position. So ahead of the pre-season tour, this next couple of weeks represents a phenomenal opportunity for a few very key youngsters. And I'm going to talk about 5 that I expect to see real madness out of on this pre-season tour, or potentially at least the opportunity to see some madness out of on the tour. The first player I think has got an opportunity on the tour is going to be striker Charlie McNeill. United's lack of movement in the striking department leaves the biggest gaping hole in our team. The biggest. I mean, even goalkeeper now, David De Gea, is technically out of contract. I have no idea how that situation is going to play out. It does look like we're attempting to purchase Onana. But as they all arrive for training today, there's no David De Gea. And there is no contract in place, currently, at least, for David De Gea to remain. But United have got Tom Heaton, who I actually can't believe he stayed last season. That must be the United fan in him. I can't believe he stuck around as second choice when he probably could have gone to, admittedly, a lower level Premier League team, but probably could have played Premier League football. So even though David De Gea could leave, you've still got Tom Heaton, who wouldn't be the worst option that the world has ever seen in terms of goalkeeper. Up front, yes, you've got Tony Marshall, but have you got Tony Marshall? Because all Tony Marshall has proved to do is show us that he isn't fit to be able to lead the line in a team across the whole season. So no striker, and maybe Tony Marshall 10, 15 games a season. Charlie McNeill's got an opportunity. I don't think he becomes Manchester United's first choice. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say in pre-season. I think what he can do is, though, make himself the option. Maybe make himself second choice. Certainly make himself third choice. Be available on the bench, particularly if someone gets injured. He can absolutely do that. Now, he went to Newport on loan last season. He scored a couple of goals. I think he got 1 assist, 2 goals in 20 games. You go, hang on, that's not very good. No, it's not. But when you consider that a lot of those came off the bench, a lot of those were substitute appearances, he got around about 1,000 minutes. That's his first taste of men's football in a team that was struggling, it might as be said. So you wouldn't expect him to be getting a goal a game at a team that isn't scoring goals. But it gave him a taste of men's football. And he's got the opportunity now to be able to go and put it into practice with Manchester United. And on pre-season, he'll be coming up against teams and defenders that he is the measure of. Better than, or at least the equal of. So there is an opportunity here for him to make whoever we sign, because I do expect a signing to happen, for him to go, actually, kid's got something, let's keep him around rather than send him on loan, just in case anything happens to our new striker. Or give him 5 or 10 minutes here and there, help his development a little bit. So Charlie has got a very, very big opportunity. And of course, as a Droylsden native, I am driving the bandwagon and praying that it happens. And I would love nothing more than a bit of Droylsden in the team. Now, for those who don't know the backstory, Charlie came after spending basically his entire youth career at Manchester City, scoring somewhere in the region of, I believe, 600 goals. And he's continued that goal scoring in the underage groups at Manchester United. I think he's also done it for England. Off the top of my head, he did get an appearance last season in the Europa League off the bench, 7 minutes for Manchester United. I wouldn't look at what happened at Newport as the measure of who he is as a player. Judge him in the Manchester United team and see how he does. I think he gets minutes on pre-season if he goes. Obviously, it's not a certainty to go. If he gets minutes on the pre-season tour, I think you'll be impressed with him. So Charlie is the first, not just in the list, but the one that I think has got a big opportunity because there's no competition in his place. He's probably going to get minutes just on the fact that there is nobody else to get minutes in that position. Fingers crossed he can do it. Second one, I think, is Kobbie Mainoo. Now, we saw more of Kobbie than I expected, especially given his age. And there's two players that are heavily linked with moves away from United, and that is McTominay and that is Fred. If even one of those players leave, United's options in defensive midfield are down to Casemiro and one of McTominay or Fred. And just look how many injuries we had last season. In the season before, Kobbie Mainoo impressed not just at youth level, but in the first team level as well. Prior to that, he was big in United's cup run, the FA Youth Cup, scored a couple of goals, heading home at Old Trafford against Everton after a smart finish away at Reading in the fourth round. He then helped them beat Nottingham Forest in the final at Old Trafford for the first time that we've won the trophy in a decade. He scored in a friendly against Cadiz that we had mid-season as part of the winter training camp at the tender age of 17. Thrust into the limelight, made his senior appearance in the Carabao Cup against Charlton all the way back in January. And then he made his debut for United on February 19th against Leicester City, coming on as a substitute in the 81st minute as United saw out a 3-0 victory. Now, we know Kobbie is a big lad for his age, but he also has a wide range of passing ability. He's got really good vision. He is a really good carrier of the ball. And I think the reason he got the opportunity so young is that there's a real specimen in there. He's a big physical lad. And I think he is likely to get minutes, certainly on the tour, because he's been in and around the first team already. And that shows the manager he came in the middle of the season. So that wasn't someone that he was like, I've heard a bit about him, let's give him an opportunity on the tour. That's someone who clearly had been going to work in training Monday to Friday and impressing the boss and got his opportunity because of that. If he didn't like the look of him, he'd have been flung out on loan or he'd have just been ignored. He clearly liked the look of him. And I think, like I said, there's depth issues in and around midfield. If one of McTominay or Fred leaves, and there's a lot of talk that they might, he could easily step up and be that extra option. Now, I'm not saying that he's even going to start games, but being an option, I think he's certainly got that in his locker, and it will continually help his development if he does that. So that's one that I think United could see, certainly on the tour, but potentially even next season as well. Third one, we've got a very exciting one here. Third, then Alvaro Fernandez, 20 years old, Spanish fullback. Anybody that followed the championship at all last season will have had their eye caught by Fernandez's performances. It is a tough, physical league where pretty football and technical individuals are in short supply, to say the least. And he was a breath of fresh air, potentially even cult hero at Preston. They loved him. He won their Young Player of the Year, and he didn't just win it because he's a United player. He put in exceptional performances. The things that stood out for him is classy dribbling. He often takes the ball and drives it down the wing, which has seen him get assists this season. His ability to dribble has seen him actually start on the wing as well as playing at left back. He's a very, very good passer. He's a very good crosser. He's able to deliver very, very accurate crosses into the box with both feet, it might be said as well. And that makes him a threat from both set plays and open play. And he links up really well with the rest of the midfield and the attack. Quite reminiscent of how Shaw does it. A little bit of give and go about him. And he got 6 assists in all competitions, which is class for a young player like that on loan. Like I said, versatility. He's shown that he can play in midfield. He's shown that he can play at fullback. And that, I think, is a big asset for Erik ten Hag. Now, why might he get a chance? Well, Luke Shaw's number one. And Luke Shaw's shown his versatility by also filling in at centre-half, which I think he'll probably have to do a couple more times as well. And there's question marks about Tyrell Malacia. Now, I think Malacia would just be given the default option because There's this political thing that happens with managers and their signings. They're reluctant to see their signings fail because then it can be held against them when they go back and ask for more money for a new signing. So they'll always give their signings that little bit more of a chance than they will previous signings that was already at the club when they arrived. Now, on the tour, I think Alvaro Fernandez goes. I think he plays. And if he plays, I think he impresses. And then there's a decision to be made for Erik ten Hag. He's a bit different in terms of style to Malacia. So there might be a time when you want to play a certain style over another. And I think he offers that little bit different to him. He can beat a man, which is rare. Certainly rare in a fullback. Nobody, I don't think, expected Fernandez to do as well as he did at Preston. And I wonder if, because of that, and certainly picking up the Young Player of the Year award at Preston, if he maybe gets an opportunity. We haven't really seen the best of Malacia's attacking attributes this season. I think it's just an adjustment period for him with the league. But I think someone coming from the Championship into the Manchester United side won't struggle too much, I don't think. I think the pace, the intensity won't be a problem for him. And I think he's one that could surprise us on the tour. Number 4, you guys have been asking me to do a whole scout report on this guy, and it's in the pipework for at some point over the summer. Because I think there's a decision that United need to make on him. And that is 23-year-old goalkeeper Matej Kovar. So he was involved in last season's pre-season tour, then went out on loan straight after. Had a fantastic season on loan at Sparta Prague, got 10 clean sheets in 28 appearances for them, which is phenomenal for a 23-year-old. Oh, and did he do all right? Yeah, he won the league, lad. Brought home a league title. And at the moment, it's clips that I've seen. I haven't done the in-depth scout report just yet. From the clips that I have seen, reflexes have been absolutely sensational. Like David De Gea-esque reflexes. Make, oh, fucking hell's he done that? Really, really good reflexes. Stuff that other goalkeepers are incapable of doing. And he had a lot of those by the looks of the highlight reels that I am seeing for Sparta this season. He seems to command his area, comes off his line, claims crosses, punches away shots. All the people that are very happy David De Gea is going have just rejoiced at hearing that. But it's the one. He's developed a lot physically. He's starting to get a bit of a unit about him. And I don't know if this is the level that he's been playing at, but from the clips I've seen so far, and again, we will do the more in-depth scout report prior to us doing the scout report, he looks like he can play. And I mean, with his feet, he can distribute it, he's knocking it, he's got a range in him, there's different styles. Sparta play a little bit of a possession-based style for that league, not really the most popular sort of possession-based, certainly not Spain. But they build out from the back, and Kovar's been a big, big part of that. He's also been called up to the national team on several occasions now, although he's yet to make his debut. And I think he's got a chance. Butland has gone. Heaton is still here, but there's talk that he wants to leave, which makes a lot of sense. David De Gea might be off, might be staying. It seems like Ten Hag wants 3 goalkeepers. If they're able to keep Tom Heaton, it seems like he's number 3, really. Butland goes, De Gea goes. United are going to need a goalkeeper. I wouldn't expect Kovar to go anywhere this season at all. Maybe a 6-month loan later in the season if he doesn't do anything. But I think as United start the camp, if he's there tomorrow, he's going to be playing in goal in the 11-a-sides. That will be happening. Maybe not tomorrow afternoon, they're probably doing testing. By Wednesday this week, United will have played an 11 v11 behind closed doors. Whether that's 23s or 21s against the first team, whether that's just blended, or whether they bring in a non-league team or a League 2 team or something, which they do occasionally. Matej Kovar will be the one putting the gloves on. So there is a big, big opportunity for him to shine. Again, I would be amazed if he ends up Manchester United's number 1 this season, but I think he could really elevate his status within the club with a couple of good pre-season performances. And then finally, a player that a lot of people are already clamouring to get first team football, and that's another person who impressed out on loan. In fact, has everyone in this list? Let me just check. Only Kobbie Mainoo hasn't been out on loan in this list. Interesting. So, Amad Diallo, 20 years of age, tore it up at Sunderland, 14 goals, 3 assists. A little bit more weighed toward goals than assists. I would maybe like a bit more balance. 10 and 10, 7 and 7, something like that might have been a bit better from him than 14 and 3. He's a little bit heavy on the goals. Some of the goals were absolute worldies. He stepped up, showing that he can match the physicality, but also the pace and the tempo of Championship football. And after the non-existent loan that he had at Rangers, I worried for him. But he's absolutely battered it out of the park here at Sunderland. And the way he cuts inside, the way he links up with teammates, the way he's scoring goals, he's got that aura that Garnacho has got about him. The sheer self-belief and the directness to make it happen. I said this a few times. The Sancho, Garnacho dichotomy that we're looking at the moment reminds me so much of the Tevez and Berbatov one. It's very easy to get drawn to the Tevez. They're very energetic, heart on his sleeve, chases every lost cause, very, very direct, versus the Berbatov, which is a lot more languid, doesn't look arsed, even though it's not necessarily the case, plays to feet. Do you know what I mean? It's a different style, and it's not necessarily a correct style or an incorrect style, but that style draws the eye. You know, what Tevez does, what Garnacho does, Diallo's got that same factor about him. He is on it. And I think that creates cult heroes. And that's, I think, part of the reason why he's been loved at Sunderland. He hasn't come in there like any sort of prima donna. He has gone to work. And he's delivered. And weirdly, for someone that plays in the final third, I think that we spoke about this when we spoke about what to expect from him this season. His pass completion is extremely high. That tells me he can play with a little bit more risk, but it tells me that he gets into the right areas. You know, his pass completion is extremely high. He's also a high number of passes, which tells me that a lot of stuff was going through him at Sunderland. But he's also getting 5.12 progressive passes in per 90. Considering the very high pass completion, he can even take a bit more risk with that. He could be an unbelievable assist creator. He just seems to play a little bit safe at the moment, or certainly not quite getting the assist that I think he's capable of getting. 3.72 progressive carries per 90, which means when he takes it on, he is going with it and he is getting it done. And also 1 interception per 90, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that puts him very, very high up compared to other attackers, which shows that he can press. And to be honest, a lot of the pressing that is done by forwards, you're not necessarily looking for them to get the ball. You're looking for them to inconvenience the guy that they're pressing. You know, if I come and press you and you make the pass, but the pass isn't quite as good, or it's actually to the wrong foot or the wrong weight, or it was just a bit more of a difficult, but it was the wrong option for you to select to, and then the ball gets lost further down the line. There's no stat for that. For me, at least, anyway. There's no stat I'll benefit from that, even though I was one that pressed you. But that collectively works for the rest of the team, because that guy ends up losing the ball, or the guy next to him loses the ball because you passed it to him when he wasn't the one that was the option, that other guy was the option. It's very, very hard to sort of give you the detail about why that's such a good pass, why that's so effective, and all that sort of stuff, but it's one of those anyway, isn't it? So I think Diallo's got a chance because, well, we do have a few wingers right now, but the lack of a centre forward means that I think Marcus will probably play down the centre a lot more. Anthony's a little bit hit and miss. Sancho's been a little bit hit and miss. Garnacho, despite the injury, has probably been our most consistent performer as a winger. Rashford, obviously. We know what to expect from these guys. Amad can come in on the confidence that he's just... Put it this way, if he replicates what he just did at Sunderland, next season in the United shirt, that's unbelievable. So he's coming in with that attitude, I'm sure. You know, extra numbers, put some pressure on the lads in the squad. I am certain he's going to get an opportunity on the tour. And if he does, who knows? Well, that's the 5 that I think you need to be paying attention to. You might even see Shea Lacey. He's very, very young, 16. He might get taken for the experience. I don't know if his parents need to go with him or if he needs a note. I don't know how that works. Shea Lacey's extremely young, but extremely gifted. Maybe he plays in one of the more domestic preseason games rather than going on the tour completely. But loads of options there. Invariably, you do see quite a lot of youngsters taken on the tour, partially for training numbers, partially just for cover in case anyone gets a knock, but also for their development on and off the pitch. They get to hang out with the first team members, see the correct attitude and way to live, and there's a lot of benefits to them being part of that journey with them as well. But that's the 5 that I think. Let me know in the comments. Anybody else that you think, and Shea Lacey, so 6. Anyone else that you're excited about, that you think is going to get minutes on the tour, let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.